Hi gang, Jeff McAleer again, and today I'm taking a look at a new game coming to Kickstarter from Solarflare Games, and it's called The Lords of Rock. And in The Lords of Rock, each player is going to represent a pantheon of gods, and you're going to put on effectively a battle of the bands, or I guess we'll say a cosmic battle of the bands. Because each player is trying to get the most worshippers, to get the most followers, the most souls. So let's pop inside and take a look to see what you're going to find inside the Lords of Rock. Hi gang. So we're back inside and I'm going to take a look at the Lords of Rock. So as you can see, it's not a big game, doesn't have a big footprint, and the artwork's pretty cool, and we're going to get a closer look at that as well. Now, it does indicate that it's for 2 to 5 players on the box itself. That's going to change a little bit because it's really, the sweet spot is 3 to 4 players. And it takes about 20 to 40 minutes to play, and it is kind of in all ages. It's ages 8 and up. So keep in mind that this is a preliminary copy. This is a prototype copy. But if you recall Nightmare Forest Dead Run, that prototype was pretty sweet, so it was pretty close to the finished product. Let's take a look inside, and you're going to have the little rules booklet here, the Lords of Rock. So you're actually, each player is going to take on the role of a pantheon of gods. So the Greeks, the Aztecs, the Norse, and Egyptians. And just looking through here real quickly, it's going to talk about how the cards break down, the song cards or the set list cards, the venue cards, the tokens, what each of the icons mean as far as the skill for each of the gods, because some gods are better equipped to be lead guitarists, and some are vocalists, and some are great at being fans. And the tokens represent the souls, as I started to mention. In the rules, it talks about, the smaller tokens, the bigger tokens. I believe they're kind of the same size, taking a look there. So we're going to take a quicker peek. But one is worth 1 million souls. The other is 5 million souls. It talks about the venues, the set lists, setting the game up, getting ready, how the Battle of the Bands actually play out, and how to win. All in all, really about 14 pages of rules. Easy peasy. So these are the tokens here. And as I mentioned, the clear ones are bigger. So the little blue ones are going to be 1 million souls. The clear are going to be 5 million souls. So let's take a peek at the cards. And there are a few different types of cards in the game. I'm going to take some of these out. Okay. And with the set list, the song titles kind of play off of famous rock and roll song titles. So I'm not going to show you all of those because I want to keep some surprises for you. But for an example, this is the Aztec pantheon. And the star, this gold star here, is going to show you that this is a big name. This is one of the leads of the pantheon. So just taking a quick look through, and as I mentioned, the artwork is pretty sweet. And when you're looking at the cards here, for an example, you're going to see that this god has a skill of 4 on guitar, a skill of 2 on, I think that's bass and that's guitar, because there's 2 different kinds of guitars in the band. This god would have a drum skill, not very good though. So as we go looking through, that's some of the gods. And it's going to indicate what pantheon each of these represents as well. So just giving you, so for an example, there's Athena rocking out. So you've got that. Now you also have the venue cards, because each of the players will have venues that they can play, and the venue card is going to show how big the venue is, how many souls, basically. I like to say followers or worshippers. Kind of sounds a little strange to say that, you know, you're competing for souls, because wouldn't your worshippers have to be dead? I don't know. Just me. Seems a little strange. So I'm gonna say followers, and then it's going to show you what skills are required to play that venue. And the victor of the venue sometimes will have a special ability in the next turn. Maybe they can draw more cards for their set list. Maybe they can discard more cards, so on and so forth. So we've got the Colosseum, the Dreamlands. I guess H.P. Lovecraft fans would dig that. Mount Everest. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Come on. And I certainly won't try to pronounce that either. But that's to give you kind of an idea of the different venues. Because each of the players will have, oh, there you go, play Miskatonic University. Sweet. All right, so we've got that. So those are the venues, and then we have the set list. And I'm going to pull a few of these cards out just to kind of give you an idea of some of the cleverness in these song titles. A Pegasus with No Name. So it's going to show you what bonuses that this is going to provide a player who, once they've created their band for that venue, is going to get by using the song in their playlist during the cosmic battle of the bands. Born in the Wild, Born to Fly. Of course, you know, these are all in alphabetical order right now, but you're going to shuffle these up. Come on, feel the thunder. So, these are the cards. This is what's going to come in the box. So let's talk a little bit about how the game plays. So let's talk a little bit about how to play the Lords of Rock. And it's easy peasy, really. Everybody's going to start off with their gods from the selected pantheon. They're going to receive 4 venue cards and 10 set list, or, as I keep saying, song cards. You're going to designate the first player, and it's basically who was the last person to go to a concert. And they're really not the first player, they're actually considered the anchor band, which means they're going to go last. Now, each turn, each player is going to be able to select a venue as well as recruit their band. So each player is going to select 4 band members. So keeping in mind with this gold star here, he's a lead. So you can only have the stars one time. You can't have 2 leads in the band at the same time. So you're going to choose one of 2. And so for an example, we're going to utilize, I should have picked a different pantheon because this is the Aztecs, which you can't even pronounce these names. So, but for an example, let's say we go with a lineup of this god, and this god, and this god, and this god. So each of the players are going to select their band lineup for that turn, and they're going to place them face down on the table. And then the initial player is going to select one of their 4 venues. And if you take a look, not every venue has 4 skill slots. Taking a peek through, some are 2, some are 3, some are 4. Keeping in mind there's actually 5 skills. So once everybody's selected their gods for that round, one player is going to flip over their venue. And then you're going to see which of the gods match up to those skills at the venue. And keeping in mind they have the skill levels, so some are much better than others. They also have secondary skills too. So you're going to begin by laying them out. So now you've got your band lineup, you've got an idea of how many points everybody's going to have for, let's say for an example, the Colosseum. What happens next is once the venue has been revealed and the bands have been revealed, the players are then going to begin laying down set lists. And the set lists can be good for your band, or it might be bad for another band. So, for an example, somebody plays Icarus Falling. It's going to add to the guitar skill there, +2. You could also play, if it shows a negative up here, on another band, a derogatory card, so impaired. So it's actually subtracting from either their vocals or drumming. And this is going to continue. Each player is going to lay down a set list card, either in front of themselves for their band, or in front of another player to take away from that band, until everyone decides to pass. Now keep in mind, you're going to play these different venues. So let's say in a 3-player game, you're going to play 6 venues. You start off with 10 set list cards. You don't want to blow all your cards on one venue simply because you normally will only draw 3 new set list cards before the next show. So once everyone's gone through and they've added or subtracted to their band or other bands, you're going to total up the points. And whoever ends up with the most points, if you look at this list down the side here, that'll tell you how many millions of souls you've earned from that venue. If you came in first, you would be getting 6. Second, you'd get 4th. Third, you get 3. Fourth, you get 2. Fifth, you would get 1. Keep in mind, there can be ties. So if somebody was tied for second and third, you're going to actually add the 4 and the 3 together, divide by 2. That's 3.5. You round up, they would get 4. Like I said, easy peasy, just a little addition, a little subtraction. But the interesting thing too is you want to keep in mind that, you know, some of these venues, if you don't have the right lineup for the venue, you're going to kind of be out of luck. But the gods also have secondary skills too. Keep that in mind. So you can use the secondary skills of the 4 band members if those skills are indicated here. So for an example, let's say somebody was lead vocalist and you're not using a lead vocalist at this venue. If they also had the drums as a secondary skill, you'd be able to use that secondary skill. Like I said, very, very easy. There are some other cards that are not in this, and giving each of the pantheons a special ability, so on and so forth. As I mentioned, this is a prototype. I know the rules have changed a bit too. That's why I'm not going real heavily into the gameplay. So once you've gone around twice So effectively, the game lasts until the anchor band, which we already know was like that last player, first player, but really last player. Once the anchor band has played, that player has revealed two venues, the game will end. And then everybody's going to add up all of their tokens. Now, I recommend, this is just me, but I kind of recommend keep those tokens hidden. Keep them hidden because that way everybody doesn't know if there's like a runaway leader or anything like that. To me, it just adds a little bit more to the gameplay, sitting there thinking, well, you know, I think Joe's ahead. So we really got to start focusing on you know, distracting his band while they're playing and playing set list cards that are going to bring their score down so they don't finish in first, so on and so forth. But real easy to get into, takes no more than maybe 10 minutes to learn how to play the game. And there's some, like I said, optional rules, things like that to make the game a little bit meatier. So there you have what we've got with the Lords of Rock. All right, so we've taken a peek at the Lords of Rock and what's going to be mainly inside the finished product. There are some optional rules, there are some optional cards that I don't have access to that are now part of the game. That's one of the reasons why I didn't go too heavily into gameplay, because there have been a few different tweaks. But my overall impressions of the game is it's fun. It's a light game. It's along the lines, I would say complexity-wise, not gameplay-wise, of Solarflare Games' previous release when they did Nightmare Forest Dead Run, which I like that one too. The Lords of Rock is going to be one of those games that you wind up or wind down your night of gaming with. And it's going to have a lot of appeal for quite a few different reasons. Number one, it's only going to be $20 including shipping for folks in the US who pledged through Kickstarter, and I believe $26 for international backers. So at that price point, it's kind of a steal. It's going to appeal to people who like rock music. You saw some of the song cards, which kind of play off of very famous song titles, like for those about to Ragnarok, which is pretty funny. And a lot of gamers, well, I should say a lot of people who don't normally game, but who are into rock music, are probably going to dig this. This is going to be a nice gateway game to introduce your friends who are really into rock music, especially classic rock music, into the world of tabletop gaming. It plays best with 3 to 4 players. Now, there is the option for a 5th player. I gotta be honest, I'm not real sure how that would work, because each of the players have a pantheon, and at least in the edition that I was just looking at, there's only 4 pantheons involved. Now, it's very possible there's a 5th one that's on the horizon, or then again, maybe the game is really set for 3 to 4 players. By all means, if the theme interests you, the gameplay interests you, you want to back this project. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you're going to have quite a bit of fun with the game as well. So I certainly give the Lords of Rock a thumbs up, and it is a Kickstarter project that you really do want to take into consideration. Once again, this is Jeff McAleer. Be sure to swing by the Gaming Gang for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Go get your geek on over at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until next time, thanks for watching.